Hello everyone, I am Dr. Eric Morrison. This is 7 Under 3, and I'll be covering trading education using the TC2000 and TradingView platforms. Hello, this is the stock indice review for the 16th of February. And I want to start off with a small addition that I added to this. Folks understand that I may have Wyckoff in here, but I also included an actual pattern recognition of Wyckoff, which made it so much easier in identifying a particular trend. So first, what I want to say is huge hat tip to Crowded Market Report and Jason Shapiro and the community. We learn from everybody over there, and whether you're a trend follower or whatever strategy or process that you use, it's amazing how we help each other with our particular processes and looking at different ways to view the markets. Now, Jason mentions that it's good to have not only a process that is correlated with trend followers, but a negatively correlated one that he specializes in as far as turn picking. Now, one of the things that I have is I go ahead and trade FOREX futures, but I also trade stock indices. And what I've done is started to utilize COT, or commitment of traders, as an overall filter to the trend following. And I was just having a discussion with one of the members online, and this individual is a big fan of Wyckoff, and so was I. And I have the volume, but I never really translated that practice to the actual overall charts in terms of Wyckoff patterns. He was a lot better at recognizing the Wyckoff patterns than I am. And what it did was it allowed me to integrate the Wyckoff better into my trend following process. So, reviewing the markets, I want to kind of go over what's happening. Natural gas continues to go to the downside. And what you see here is Wyckoff pattern recognitions in line with its actual volume. So we had a distribution, an upthrust with continued downward pressure, continues to move down, which is a clean reversal off of this one. But notice that the accumulation in spring, which are positive, went up, hit the Z3, and then reversed back. Interesting on how that all works out. Whatever your process is, Crowded Market Report will help it make it better. If it's a trend following process, they'll help make it better. If it's a turn picking and a commitment of traders, they'll help make it better. You have to develop your own process, and Crowded Market Report has helped me do that. So moving to oil, as you can see, it's kind of consolidating here and starting its movement upward. We do have a target of 113.66. 2-year continues to go down with additional pressure to the downside, along with the 20-year. However, the 20-year does have a point figure target of 134.39 to the upside. So the 0.39 is part of the tick process here. We all know that the bonds are based on ticks. It just converts it to a decimal. 5 years, same thing. Continued pressure to the downside. We do have point figure targets here to the downside. And the 10-year, which had a distribution phase last week, and what we see is continued downward pressure to the downside. And usually after we see an accumulation phase, we see an upward pressure on price. This is just the opposite effect. Continued distribution phase on the weekly and continued price action to the downside. Now I got the daily on the left, the weekly on the right, so this has more impact in terms of overall movement. Gold went ahead and hit the point figure levels and then bounced off that. Is continued to the upside. Something to note with the point figure target of $2,371.57 to the upside. If that's the case, the dollar will go to the downside. I noticed additional point figures to the upside on all the markets. Now, whether this happens or not, or whether we have a correction or not, is irrelevant. It's just the data. And being totally objective here, there is an argument technically that the markets are poised to the upside. We have the Russell, new target of 3,489. It had a weekly upthrust. It is now currently down in pre-market during the holiday. And you have the RL270 up here. So we'll see what happens when the markets open up on Tuesday. Same thing with the S&P, has a new point figure target of 6,198. Did have last week overall weakness in the overall S&P though. NASDAQ also had a new point figure target of 25,128, but we did have significant weakness here. We'll see, and it looks like it's trying to rebound. Same with the Dow, has a new point figure target of 47,956 to the upside. Had weakness here. These two dojis, kind of a reverse wedge here, so there might be some consolidation during this time period. Now here's the Dixie. The Dixie has what we saw after the accumulation of continued price spikes up to the upside. It is caught between the RL270 and this point figure here. There's a lot of pressure being built. Right now, it looks like it's more poised to the upside than the downside. However, if we get beyond this point figure level and this point figure level, if it goes down, like its new point figure target to 92.329, we could probably see a market surge or more price action to the upside. If it goes above this overall levels, we could see an actual market correction. So it's right now, it's currently within this range that is pretty significant as far as the dollar is concerned. We'll see what happens. So looking at silver at first glance here, in terms of trend, looking at the daily, we had a spring and accumulation at the same time with a trigger to go long. Nice overall gains on 1,000 shares at $790. The other ones are pretty much break even or to positive on these. I'm not going to cover those. There's a lot of those little gainers here and little losses here, but I want to cover the big ones. Cure, what we had here was an overall Wyckoff spring on Wednesday. Nice overall gainer on Thursday, $2,090 on 1,000 shares. Everything's positive to the weekly side, so this translated very well. Also very positive as far as futures go. Looking at E-mini healthcare here, you can see the overall COT index is to the upside and continues to move to that upside. But you see that the Wyckoff patterns also translate to futures as well. DDM, we did have a loss here of $410. Defense, we had a nice little spring on the daily, plus a pre-market reversal, so we had 2 days of nice overall gains here, $580 for the week. DIG had an overall loss on Tuesday after this accumulation. Then an additional loss of $310 on Friday for a $1,120 loss. DUG is interesting. It's the only one that showed on the weekly and on the daily an overall distribution and upthrust signal to the downside. As you can see here, this also signals to the upside, overall long for the week, but Doug did the reverse. So we're talking about energy, so that may mean that energy prices may be poised to the upside this week. We'll see. An overall loss on this reversal on Wednesday, $230. Dussel had a nice overall pre-market reversal and spring. We had 1,330 on Wednesday and 840 on Thursday. Overall for the week, 2,170 on 1,000 shares. Not a bad overall trade here with the trend. As you can see, nothing but strength on the weekly. Dust had an overall pre-market reversal here, 680. Not too bad. EDC had a great spring and accumulation for Thursday, $350. And as you see on the weekly for EDC, you got accumulation on this day, spring on this week. Nice positive, so going into next week, nothing bad about emerging markets at this point in terms of bullishness. So looking good for next week, which may be an ominous sign for our markets here in the U.S. EEM, same thing, pre-market reversal, nice spring for $160. EFA, nothing but to the upside. Since I only deal with longs here, it's this nice, and pre-market reversals also have to be in the green. So what I had was over on Monday, we had a nice spring. Looking at pre-market, did not enter in this overall trade. Had an accumulation and then a spring on Friday. Overall gains for EFA were 740. FAST was interesting. We didn't have pre-market reversal, but on Thursday, nice overall gain on 1,000 shares of $3,620. Amazing day. Looking at Hibble, again, pretty much to the upside. We had distribution. This wasn't a pre-market reversal. Open was within the range. Nice day on Thursday, $820 on 1,000 shares. IBB had an overall loss. And this, not all of them are winners. Didn't take this one because pre-market was well below the low. Did take this one. Overall loss $200 on IBB. KCE, nothing but movement to the upside. Looking at the daily, this was the weekly. Looking at the daily, not really a pre-market reversal, but nice Thursday gain of $627. LabVIEW, you magnificent system here. I'm looking at healthcare and biotech, bull 3 times the shares. Nothing but movement to the upside. Very positive on the weekly. Got a signal of accumulation and distribution on Wednesday. Beautiful gain on Thursday of 4,770. Well, it seemed to happen also on Friday. Accumulation signal. Nice overall gain. $7,960 for a total of $12,730. Huge gain and largest gainer of the week. MDYB, nice gainer to start off the week. This pre-market reversal to the downside. Then we got a signal here. Very small loss, about $20 there. Total $860 for the week. Midu or mid-cap bull, nothing but to the upside on the weekly, especially on the previous week. Overall pre-market reversal here and overall gain on Thursday here, $2,040. SPXL, kind of want to focus on the majors here. The other little gainers are nice, but just understanding this overall process here where we got nice market action to the upside on the weekly. Yeah, as you can see, it even works on the weekly here if you want to trade once a week. But this would include gaps and all that. I don't like gaps personally myself, but if you want to trade them, that's totally up to you and your process. And an overall indicator here for spring and accumulation here. And for the week, $6,579 on the weekly. But looking on the daily, especially with gaps, we had a pre-market reversal on Wednesday, followed by a spring for Thursday, $3,050 for the week for SPXL. TNA, looking at overall price action on the weekly to the upside. Beautiful setups in the row for the Russell 2000 or small caps. So for Friday of last week, we had, or the previous week, we had nice long in accumulation. So for Monday, it was $1,710 and then dropped down. I only do longs here. Just set up for another long. And it was for Thursday, $1,890. So a total of $3,600. So this is a nice setup if you want to trade less and be more long term as far as the day is concerned. Set your alerts for these initial setups on this strategy, and it can identify potential trades for the next following day after pre-market. So if pre-market is way down here after this potential move up, then you don't take it. But if it's pre-market is above it, the previous day's low, this is a good trade. And you got nice targets here at the Z3. T4, beautiful pre-market reversal, $1,720 for that trade. It's not all roses and sunshine. You got a weekly with the Dow too as well. We had Dow overall spring on Thursday with a loss of $630 on Friday. UPRO is kind of the same as SPXL. Nice pre-market reversal and then followed by this for $1,610. Same with URTY, is similar to TNA. And as you can see, Ultra Pro Russell, we got spring and accumulation, nice long on Monday, $1,990, and then another one on Thursday for $2,170. Total $4,160 on 1,000 shares for just 2 trades. Nice good overall end to the week for the Russell. Looking at want, works for all. Nice spring, $1,050. XBI works very nicely. Nice overall reversal here too. Accumulation in spring. We had accumulation here, $1,920, and an additional $1,190 for $3,110 for the week. Nice overall movement on the weekly to the upside, but as you can see, like I said here, accumulation here, everything to the upside on this trend. Nice gain, including gaps for the week, 6,528, 1,000 shares. Everything processed to the upside on the weekly. XHE is another one. As long as the open is within this range, this is a good one. Ended $620 for the Friday. XLB still poised to the upside. Had a triple here. Nice $1,110 to the upside. We did have a signal here on Monday of accumulation, but what did it do? It gapped down and opened below the previous day's low, so we don't take that trade. That's why I don't like gaps. So you can, when you're following a trend trading process, this is important that you stick to those overall steps. XLC, nice spring, good overall trade to the upside, $880. XLE and energy, we had a spring, loss on Friday, $400. XLF, one thing that I also want to note because of that Doug, looking at XLE, we do have accumulation on the weekly, poised for energy to the upside. So that'd be interesting to see what happens next week for XLE. XLF, nice overall gain, 550 on Thursday. XLI, nice moves to the upside. Pre-market reversal, $1,050. XLV, nice overall gain on Thursday, $950, all poised to the upside on the weekly. XME, overall loss on Friday. We did have a spring here, but it didn't have the setup that I'd like in terms of green background. I like green background for my longs. And then this nice overall setup did end in a loss of $250. XTN, nice pre-market reversal, $610. Silver short, nice pre-market reversal on Tuesday of $500. And as you can see here, same goes for actual shorts. I don't short, I just go long. This was the signal for silver to the downside. So if you get the opposite of silver, which is AGQ, and you get these particular signals, what do you see? Actual reversal on that. So you just want to make sure that you have the counter indice there ready and available if you start to see signals like this. And when I added up overall, it utilizing the Wyckoff pattern with the trend, integrating volume and the commitment of traders, you got a nice filters for amazing gains. It actually tripled the returns. So this was nice overall for the week, lowered the risk overall, diversified over several different indices, and ended in with positive returns. Looking at next week, the only one that I have is an overall setup. I have no triples like this, where I get a long indication followed by accumulation in spring. I only have an accumulation here for copper, both on the weekly here and the daily. No other indications for Tuesdays. So that could be an ominous sign to the downside. We'll see. I did, like I said before, say I had a weekly indications to the downside on Doug. Its opposite is DIG. It's ultra short energy, but I got nothing on this for DIG, on its ultra energy. So we'll see if that pans out with more price action to the upside. All these others had a weekly spring here, a negative candle here. We'll see. In terms of overall price action, this could be a weekly. Like I said, I don't like gaps or trading the weekly. The only one I have is copper to the upside. And it has to open up above this low in order for to take that particular trade to the long side. XLE, same thing. Weekly indication, no daily. Weekly indication from TYO or treasuries, bear or short, which means more pressure to the downside for the 10-year. Also the 20-year as well. Retail's got an indication, nothing on the daily. Same for EDC, which is emerging markets to the upside. We did have nice gains on that for this week, but I got to make sure, that we get our daily indication. And then, of course, defense, but no indication on the daily. So copper is the only one out of all of these indices that has an actual signal for the daily. Looking at oil, more price action to the upside. With USO, we have a weekly accumulation of oil price action to the upside. Here it has a point figure target of 101 to the upside. So this has a potential price spike to the upside. And if the markets move up, oil will also move up. The Australian markets, all poised to the upside on the weekly. Swiss, same thing. China 50 has been pretty much moving to the downside. It's currently open right now, very weak. Spain, Europe, France, all to the upside. Japan is rocketing to the moon and continues to the upside. We have a nice point figure target for the Nikkei of 42,211 to the upside. In the yen, it's 42,365, all to the upside. So right now we're at 38. Continued price action to the upside for Japanese markets. Netherlands to the up. Singapore coming out of a base here. Have accumulation from last week. We had a spring on Friday with movements to the upside. And then we end with UK, same thing, pretty much. We do have a spring that was on Friday for the UK 100. Looking at Magnificent 7, Apple has incredible pressures to the downside with a weekly distribution. Amazon 2, last week was weak. Same with Google. Amazing distribution signal on Thursday, followed by a Friday drop. Meta, still price action to the upside for Facebook. Netflix as well, price action to the upside. Nvidia is rocketing to the moon. We did have this double negative candle here. We'll see if that will stop Nvidia, but this overall Magnificent 7 has been doing nothing but go up since last year and just been parabolic. Tesla as well, trying to recover from its overall price action to the downside. And on the week of January 2nd of this year, we had that initial signal to the downside. Looking at the yields, nothing but up, which means more inflation. So if the markets go up, yields will also go up. Same with the 5-year, 10-year. Got accumulation from 10 years with yields go up. That means there's more price action to the downside on the 10-year and the 20-year and the 30-year. 30-year has incredible accumulation last week with more pressure for interest rates to the upside on the 30-year. Bitcoin, an amazing overall move on Monday or the week of the 5th of February. After this overall spring, accumulation happened on October 16th and just continued to move to the upside. We didn't have this negative candle, but it's overcome that with this J-hook. Probably move this overall span here. Well, that's it for the stock indice review. It was kind of thorough this week, but I wanted to communicate my thanks to Crowded Market Report. If you're interested in these kind of strategies, programming in both PineScript or Python, auto trading, or Crowded Market Report, click on the links below. And remember, ruthless risk management. Have a great weekend, everybody. Great President's Day, and I'll see you on Tuesday. Well, if you like this video, hit the like rumble button below and the subscribe button. And if you want more information, click the course information links below. On the TradingView link and on TC2000, I have an affiliate link. If you open up a TC2000 account, you will receive a $25 discount using that link. Thank you for your time.